September 18th, 2025. Ruidoso, New Mexico. In just minutes, a quiet mountain village was transformed into a scene of chaos and destruction. Slow-moving thunderstorms, fueled by the remnants of Tropical Storm Mario, unleashed torrents of rain, triggering catastrophic flash floods. Streets turned into rivers, homes were swept from their foundations, and families scrambled for safety as the force of nature bore down with terrifying speed. What happened in Ruidoso is a stark reminder of how quickly life can change when weather collides with vulnerable landscapes. That afternoon, thunderstorms lingered over the Sacramento Mountains, releasing inches of rainfall in less than an hour. Creeks that normally carried only a trickle of water suddenly roared to life. The Rio Ruidoso swelled beyond its banks, and within minutes, walls of water and debris surged through the town. Residents who had been going about their daily routines were caught in a fight for survival. The flooding was intensified by a dangerous factor: burn scars left behind by recent wildfires. These charred hillsides, stripped of vegetation,
Alright, time to go. The water's coming up.
could no longer absorb rainfall. Instead, the stormwater raced downslope, gathering mud, rocks, and tree limbs, creating fast-moving debris flows. For communities like Ruidoso, where wildfire recovery was already underway, the sudden floods revealed a double disaster. The flames may have passed, but their scars created the perfect conditions for catastrophic runoff. Eyewitnesses described the moment water invaded neighborhoods. Within minutes, driveways became torrents, and entire streets disappeared beneath churning brown water. Families fled on foot, carrying what little they could, some wading through waist-deep currents in darkness after power lines failed. Others were trapped inside homes. Waiting desperately for rescue crews as the water rose around them. Emergency services responded immediately. Local firefighters and police, joined by the New Mexico National Guard, launched rescue operations. Boats and high-clearance vehicles navigated the dangerous waters to reach stranded residents. At least one mobile home was completely destroyed, and several houses suffered major structural damage. Vehicles were swept away, bridges were compromised, and roadways became impassable. Power outages spread across the community as lines were brought down by falling trees and floodwaters. Despite the destruction, lives were saved thanks to the courage of first responders. Crews risked their own safety, battling powerful currents to bring families to higher ground. Emergency shelters were quickly opened, offering displaced residents food, water, and a place to sleep as the storm's aftermath unfolded. The topography of Ruidoso amplified the disaster. Nestled in narrow canyons and steep valleys, the town funneled rainfall into tight channels, magnifying its destructive force. Combined with wildfire-scarred terrain, the result was a deadly mix: unstoppable flash flooding that swept through homes and streets with little warning. For scientists and weather experts, the Ruidoso flood highlights an alarming pattern. Across the Southwest, communities impacted by wildfires are increasingly vulnerable to flash floods. When heavy rain falls on burned soil, the ground cannot absorb it, and the water accelerates downslope. The result is not just flooding, but destructive debris flows that can carry boulders, uprooted trees, and mud with incredible force. Recovery began as soon as the waters receded.
Here's the road to get out of here. We have no electricity or running water.
Crews worked around the clock to restore power, clear roads, and ensure safe drinking water. Bulldozers pushed debris from highways, while engineers assessed the stability of bridges and slopes. Federal support was pledged, and coordination between state and local officials focused on restoring critical infrastructure. But even as cleanup advanced, officials warned residents to remain cautious. Weak ground, unstable hillsides, and downed power lines continued to pose hazards long after the rain had stopped. The stories emerging from Ruidoso paint a powerful picture of resilience. Families describe the fear of watching floodwaters consume their property, but also the relief of seeing neighbors and emergency crews come to their aid. Some lost nearly everything, yet community members united, sharing resources and offering shelter to one another. Looking ahead, Ruidoso's leaders are prioritizing mitigation. Plans for reinforced flood control, updated drainage systems, and new emergency protocols are under discussion. The goal is clear: to reduce the risks before the next storm arrives. Because in mountain towns, shaped by wildfire and vulnerable to flash floods, preparation can mean the difference between safety and tragedy. September 18, 2025 will not be forgotten in Ruidoso. It stands as a stark warning about the dangers of extreme weather, wildfire scars, and the unpredictability of nature. For those who lived through it, the message is simple but urgent. Heed the warnings, know your evacuation routes, and never underestimate the speed at which disaster can strike. In the face of devastation, Ruidoso has shown resilience. Lives were saved, recovery is underway, and the community stands together, stronger and more aware of the challenges ahead. Against the fury of nature, preparedness and solidarity remain our most powerful defenses.